Hey, so we just read Jeremiah 32, 26 to 34, 7. And I mean, this is hard to, put together in just a couple minutes, but just a couple quick reflections from me after reading it. One, of course, is the first line of our reading, is anything too hard for the Lord, is such a good line just to I think we should just stay there. And although we got to keep reading to get through the Bible, but I just feel like it's such a great question. And of course it's rhetorical. But he goes on to describe how it won't be too hard for God. And sometimes the things that we think are too hard are not too hard for God. And a lot of times, in my own experience, and Jeremiah goes this is what's going to happen, and but actually God is reliable to do what he promised you to do. You can believe that. And the biggest struggle sometimes in our faith has not to do with getting it done. At least for me, the biggest struggle in my faith is not about getting my stuff done. The biggest struggle in my faith is letting go and letting God. Is actually surrendering my plans and purposes, is to lay them at the feet of God again. And when I'm in difficult times or seasons that I don't understand, the biggest struggle is not to get up and get something done. The biggest struggle for me is to let God do it, and to wait for God to do it, and to walk through what I'm in presently, believing that actually it is never too late and it is never too hard for God to do his work. And when you're involved in things that are difficult to see, for example, just the end of human trafficking, which to say from a stage, at a big conference is all fun because everyone thinks it's exciting and applauds and all that kind of stuff. But to actually say it when you're on the street and, it's the 35th time you've scraped this girl off the sidewalk just the other night, just this woman with an infected leg, and it's been ripped open by her pimp, which she just keeps going back to. And, time number 35, and you think to yourself, how is this going to happen? And sometimes you just have to say, I don't know. It seems impossible to me, but this is something I know. Is anything too hard for the Lord? And there is this beautiful little later on in chapter 33, there's this little passage of scripture that points to the coming of Jesus, that actually not only is it not too hard for God to restore Israel back into its land, but it's not too hard for God to actually use Israel through Jesus as a way to bless the entire earth, which was their original inheritance. So he's got stuff in store that they cannot even comprehend. And that's something we really need to keep in mind, is that God has stuff in store for us that we cannot even comprehend. And really what's required of us to make this stuff happen is to trust God, to let go and to let God, to actually believe him to fulfill his promises in us. I hope that's an encouragement for you. Nothing is impossible with God.